last year, I got to drive the new Ford Territory Titanium Plus. This one is the trend, the more affordable version. Now, honestly, I actually prefer base or mid-grade models over, say, the top-of-the-line ones. I remember a few years ago when I first drove the Everest, I preferred the Trend over the Titanium Plus. In the Ford scheme of things, you have Titanium Plus or Titanium up top, and then you have Ambiente as the base model. In the Territory, the Ambiente does not exist. Your base model is this one, the Trend. If I walked up to this Territory not knowing it was a base grade model, I wouldn't even be able to tell because the headlamps, they're not halogens or multi-reflectors. These are still LEDs. The cladding is the same. The paintwork looks great. The color, all the things about the vehicle, even has this button here for the smart key. Even when you look at the roof, boom, sunroof and panoramic, just like the Territory Titanium Plus. That was very much unexpected. So the back of the Territory Trend actually looks quite all right. You have a nice three-tone design with the red, black, and the chrome. And then you've got T-E-R-R-A, no. You've got T-E-R-R-T-O-R-Y. You've got T-E-R-R-I-T-O-R-Y. Woo, I got that right. Right here in the back. But I would prefer to just Plasti dip that black just for the heck of it. One thing I really wish Ford got rid of are these silly tailpipe finishers on the bumper. These are mounted on the bumper. They're not actually the muffler. The muffler is right behind here, but the pipe does not point straight back. It points downward, which is weird. They could have just done away with that, come up with a cleaner look. Now, when you open the boot, well, you've got my plane there, which I'm playing around with lately, but also it's got 420 liters of cargo space with the rear seats up, and that goes up to 1120 liters of cargo space when you put those rear seats down. Plenty for a vehicle of this size. Oh, and speaking of motorized tailgate, this one does not have it. At this price point, you're not paying for that yet. Now, the engine bay of the Territory Trend is actually pretty neat. It's got a 1.5-liter EcoBoost branded turbo gasoline engine. Makes 143 horsepower and 225 Newton meters of torque. The key thing here is actually the power band or the torque band. The maximum torque comes in at 1500 RPM. It's sustained all the way up to 4000. That should help it out when it comes to overall fuel economy. Now, the engine is a 1.5 liter, and that's because, well, if it's a 1.5 liter or smaller from China, well, they only pay 5% import duty. If the engine was any bigger, they'd be paying 30%. Now, in terms of transmissions, this one does not actually have a gearbox. It has a CVT. So that means no gears, and it's going to be adjusting itself automatically to give you the best ratio for fuel efficiency. It's only a front-wheel drive. There is no all-wheel drive. So you won't be going off-roading in this one anyway because, well, for one, front-wheel drive, and two, the ground clearance is only 180 millimeters or just over 7 inches. Not much for any kind of serious off-roading. So let's start with the back seat of the Territory Trend. It's actually a nice place to be in. You've got leather seats, soft padding on the seats itself, AC vents, dual, USB charging port, ET style headrests, panoramic sunroof, grab handle, your own personal light, and you've got good legroom and good visibility. That's actually surprising in a vehicle. Normally in the back, you're not really seeing all that much out in front. The one thing I would change, the scalloping of the backrest because it's a bit too flat for my liking. It's not a big deal if you're in traffic or going in a straight line, but any kind of fast corner and you'll be sliding around here. You can be held in place by the center armrest with dual cup holders, or you can use the seat belts. Here in front, it's actually quite nice. The design is quite cohesive. I like these toggles here. The buttons here are actually okay. The control panel here. Some of the plastics could be improved on, but again, this is an affordable vehicle, so we're not really expecting super premium materials. A nice touch though are these Mercedes style stalks for the lighting, the wipers, and the cruise control. Yeah, it's a bit Mercedes, especially with the way the knobs are shaped. Not a fan of these chrome bits on the AC vents, but again, that's okay. The steering wheel is actually quite okay. Good buttons, good torque on the buttons, a nice horn, a pretty loud horn. The T-bar shifter, well, it's a bit older in terms of style, but again, that's all right. The one thing I would really change right away is, well, the shifter panel. If you want to engage manual mode, you put it to the right, not to the left, which is counterintuitive if you're sitting on the left side of the vehicle. This is more of a right-hand drive orientation, but that's not really that big a deal. The multimedia screen actually controls a lot of the functions of the vehicle, like the Bluetooth, the climate control, the radio, all the other functions right there. It's the same one as the one you would find in the Territory Titanium Plus. So that's surprising. They didn't downgrade the audio. This also has Bluetooth, Apple CarPlay, and Android Auto. So yeah, it pretty much covers all of the bases that you would need. One of the unique things here is that it's not sync. This is a different proprietary system for this vehicle, and it does come with this rather unique diamond here that you can use to configure how the screen prioritizes what you want to see there. So you have your clock and the settings. You can set it up to the top left and see your AC unit. You can move it to the right, see your Bluetooth. It's actually really unique and quite nice. It's not, the resolution or the speed isn't also as good as some of the other vehicles we've tried, but overall, it's actually a really nice unit, and you can control it also from this panel right in front of your cup holder. The omission of co-pilot isn't actually a big thing for me. I don't really put it to the test or use it on a daily basis. The 360 camera was actually nice, but this version only gets the rear view camera with the rear parking sensors. What I am glad though is that Ford retained the 6 airbag system, stability control, anti-lock brakes, traction control, and it also has 4-wheel disc brakes, vented discs in front and solid discs in the back. In terms of brakes also, this one has auto brake hold, which is actually pretty useful in our kind of traffic. So the last Territory I drove was a Titanium, and it was practically fresh off the boat. Meaning the mileage on the odometer was only like, I think maybe 50 or 100. So this one has significantly more. It's a 3,800. So already I can feel some things have changed or didn't age so well with the suspension, but only just slightly. The one thing I want to note is the engine RPM, when you're holding the throttle steady, isn't actually perfectly steady. There's a bit of a fluctuation with the needle. I actually thought at first it was maybe a problem with the balancing of the tires, but no. what I found was it was in the powertrain. So it's a minor issue, but something I can notice. Now, when it comes to fuel economy, I was averaging 8.5 kilometers per liter, average speed of about 21 kilometers per hour. It's a bit slower than our normal, but because quarantine measures are being relaxed, people are going out more, so it's a bit more traffic. On the highway, I was averaging 12.5 kilometers per liter, which is actually pretty good, all things considered. If you're looking for a vehicle that can perform, excite you on your daily drive up the mountain or something, this one might not be the right one for you. Acceleration, 0 to 100, this one was doing it at over 13 seconds. Not very exciting there. And the steering, it's a bit too light for that kind of driving. And the suspension manners, while it's okay, it's not gonna inspire confidence. But what this can deliver for you is a comfortable ride. Like right now, we're going over a pretty bumpy new concrete, which is actually similar to a lot of the roads around the metropolis. Some are older, some are bumpier. But this one, it soaks it up quite well. And in terms of quietness, at 60 kilometers per hour on concrete, this one was averaging around 65 decibels from our trusty decibel meter, which actually isn't too bad for a vehicle of this size. Now, there are some things that I think Ford should work on for the new Territory. Now, I've mentioned some of the things here, matter of preference, like the chrome, those are really, really minor. Ford should have used some better materials on this thing right here, on this panel, because I think someone wiped it down with a gritty rag and that really scratched up the whole thing. So if that can happen, maybe they can change out the materials, make it a bit more resistant to scratching. I also have a minor peeve with the gauge cluster, particularly the temperature gauge. When it's at normal operating temperature, the needle points straight up. Now, if you've been driving a lot of other vehicles, that will seem very weird because in your mind, you may think it's like, oh, it's a bit overheating. But no, it's at normal operating temperature. But the major issue I found with the Territory trend is really here, the driving ergonomics of it. There are a few things that are a bit of a miss for me. For example, when I raise up the seat cushion tilts forward. So the effect there is that when you brake, well, it's gonna feel like you're gonna slide off. That's not very good. The shifter, not a fan of that. They could have changed it out. It looks a bit dated, and the manual mode seems to be on the wrong side. That's another thing there. The steering wheel is okay, but in the trend, they removed the telescopic function, which is something found in the Titanium Plus. So, considering the position of the pedals, the seat, and the steering wheel, which I can't adjust in terms of how far it is from me, when I get my normal position, my arm is a bit too straight. Normally, I like to have it a bit more of a bend to it, the proper seating position. I can't achieve that in this model without compromising how my legs are with the pedals. But again, it's all a matter of preference. Now, a lot of the things I mentioned about the Territory are a matter of preference. So again, what works for me or doesn't work for me may or may not work for you. And for you to find that out, you really should test drive one and see how the Territory suits you. Now, the issue with the Territory, the bigger one, is the fact that this is a redesigned JMC Yusheng S330 from China. Now, why did Ford do that? And it's really so they can offer a compact crossover at a really good price. I remember before, Ford tried to offer the US-made Escape, but they didn't sell too many because the price was just too high compared to a lot of competitor models in the market. That's why you don't see too many on our roads of that example. This one, I'm seeing quite a few every day. Now, as to whether I would pick the Trend over the Titanium Plus, well, not really. At 1,277,000 pesos, it's only 33,000 pesos more, and then you get the Titanium Plus variant with the co-pilot and all the other bells and whistles they offer in the Titanium. And given that all the issues that I mentioned are addressed in the Titanium Plus, I would rather go with that one. Guys, this is Vince of AutoIndustriya. Thank you for watching, and we really do appreciate your many comments and suggestions on our YouTube page. But if you want to learn more and read more, you can visit us at AutoIndustriya.com. You can follow us on Facebook, on Instagram, and on Twitter.